Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to Shifting Lanes. My name is Hanson. Thank you so much for tuning in. And for this video, you find me sitting in the 2021 Volkswagen Atlas. And I want to share with you my personal likes and dislikes about this car so that you have a better idea before you buy. And at the end of the video, I want to quickly compare this SUV versus other ones that we've tested on this channel so that you have some idea of what the market is like. Now, this is Volkswagen's midsize SUV and also the largest vehicle in their lineup. The one I'm testing is the SE trim with technology and 4Motion. That's their all-wheel drive system. This one comes with the base engine, a 2-liter turbo making 235 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. This base engine nets you 24 highway and 20 city and takes 91 octane. That's premium gas. You can also option for the V6 engine. That's about $1,200 extra, and it gets you 276 horsepower and 266 pound-feet of torque. It bumps the miles per gallon down to 22 highway and 16 city, but the benefit is that you could fill up with regular gas. Sadly, both of those engines is still down on power versus the rest of the competition. So with this equipment, SE with technology, with the base engine and all-wheel drive, you can expect to spend around $40,000 to $42,000. And if you splurge for the top-of-the-line SEL trim, you could cross over the $50,000 mark. Regardless of which trim you get, you'll end up with one humongous vehicle. And I think that's the Atlas's best selling point. This is one of the largest three-row SUVs that's still considered a midsize. This means that the second row is spacious and the third row can actually seat adults without much complaining. Moving into and out of the third row is very easy, and there's plenty of headroom back here. And you can easily tell how much headroom there is just by looking at the exterior. Now, I love the exterior design of the Atlas. It's boxy with lots of straight edges and angular features. It reminds me a lot of the Jeep Grand Cherokee, which is one of my favorite SUVs in terms of looks. And just like that vehicle, there's plenty of sharp, distinctive lines, like the horizontal character lines, the sharp-edged wheel arches, the creases on the hood, and also the boxy-looking headlights and taillights. Now, speaking of headlights and taillights, I love how LED lighting is standard even on the lowest trim of the Volkswagen Atlas. More car companies are doing this, putting powerful and bright LED lighting on their lowest trim. This is great because these modern headlights allow you to see much better at night, much farther, making these cars a lot more safe. If you've been thinking about the Atlas for a while now, you may notice that the 2021 model years looks a little different. It's been facelifted to match the two-row version, the Atlas Cross Sport. It now has a more modern chrome accents between the headlights, and it has a brushed aluminum trim that nicely hides the park distance control sensors on the front. If you go with the R-Line, you'll find a different color matching front and rear fascia that looks more aggressive. Personally, the R-Line would be my choice because I think it looks better, and it also comes with a different set of wheels that looks more upscale. The only bad thing I have to say about the exterior design is the awful exhaust ports. Now, these are usually fake on most vehicles anyway, as in they're just extra plastic bits that surround what is normally an unsightly exhaust. But in the Atlas, there's not even an opening. It's just two big lies. Moving inside, the interior design mimics the exterior's collection of straight lines and sharp edges, and it feels distinctly German and Volkswagen. It's simple, clean, and straightforward, but it's also a bit plain and economy feeling. The seats are covered in leatherette, which are decent and gives it a slightly luxurious feel, but there's also plenty of tough plastics to be found. For the SE trims and above, you'll get this beautiful 8-inch touchscreen. On the sides, you'll have some touch capacitive buttons and also physical volume and tuning dials. I like how it senses your hand when you bring it close to the screen, and you can see more details on the menus. The screen is high resolution and crisp. However, the presentation and software design looks unfinished at times. Take, for example, how the information from satellite radio is presented. Fortunately, this comes with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto like most new cars, and on top of that, this also has Amazon Alexa if that's what you'd like to use. Moving to the instrument cluster, on the SE trim, you get this traditional 2-gauge cluster design with a screen in the middle. It's completely fine and tells you relevant information in real time like any instrument cluster should do. However, if you splurge for the SEL line, you'll find a much more attractive 10-inch digital cockpit display. That feature and the panoramic roof are good enough reasons to go spending the extra money for the SEL line. For the rest of the center console, you'll find some traditional HVAC dials. I like the fact that there's physical heated seat buttons on here. They get super hot. And also the rest of the console is clean, simple. And down here you'll have a rotary dial which controls your driving modes, so you could go between snow, normal, and off-road, and also off-road custom. Now this comes equipped with 4Motion. That's their all-wheel drive system, and this is a front-wheel drive base all-wheel drive. That means that it's going to power mainly the front wheels, and when it senses slip, it will engage a hydraulic coupling and send power to the rear axle. Moving to the second row, you'll find plenty of leg room. You'll also find a nice center console with temperature controls, and also more USB connections and a standard 3-prong plug. Additionally, on the doors, there's a built-in sunshade. And just like I mentioned earlier, access to the third row is a breeze. You can just tilt the entire seat forward. Pretty handy if you have a child seat installed. You can also opt for captain's chairs for an extra $700, and that'll give you better access to the third row. Cargo capacity is, as expected, excellent. You'll find 20.6, 55.5, and 96.8 cubic feet of space, depending on how many rows are folded down. And there's also nice compartmentalized storage in the back for all of your loose items. In terms of driving experience, the Atlas drives very nicely. It's got great on-road manners and responds well to your driving inputs. The 2-liter turbo engine is just so-so for moving this 4,400-pound car. Now, you may not win any races with other SUVs, but this is quick enough if you need to get going. While the V6 has more horsepower and torque, what's really important is the amount of torque, and between the 4-cylinder and the V6, there's really only a difference of 8 foot-pounds of torque. Personally, I would go with the 2-liter turbo for the better efficiency, but a good case can be made for the more expensive V6 because of the power bump and also the fact that it takes regular gas. But you do take a hit in miles per gallon. And when it comes to trying to eke out as much efficiency as you can, the Atlas comes with the Think Blue Trainer. It tracks your miles per gallon and generally how you've been driving. There's a nice circular gauge here that shows you a history of your miles per gallon or efficiency. There's also other handy information like the energy consumers. So this is currently showing other energy robbers that's taking away fuel economy. For example, right now the right seat heating is turned on so that it's using some energy. But what I find much more valuable is the list of driving tips. This is just a simple how-to list. There's nothing special or complex about it, but it's just a simple reminder of how to save some fuel. So tips like switching gears earlier or filling up later, or like taking unnecessary crap out of your car so that you're not carrying dead weight. I like how this tutorial is easily accessible from your screen and it's not hidden away in some manual somewhere, or it doesn't come in a form of your hypermiling friend that gives you unsolicited advice. This Atlas SE with technology trim also offers a lot of other nice touches, like IQ Drive, which is a suite of driving assistance and safety features like blind spot monitoring system, adaptive cruise control. There's also park distance control sensors that will help you park. This is a midsize SUV after all, but it's on the fatter end. So while it's not as big as a Toyota Sequoia or a Chevrolet Tahoe, this is still somewhat difficult to park. So those park distance controls, that really helps you out when you're trying to get into tight spaces. So overall, the Atlas gives you handsome boxy looks, spacious interior, and a good driving experience for a reasonable mid-size SUV pricing. However, the amount of power and the mileage really isn't the best out there. Now, how does this compare to some of the other midsize SUVs that we've tested on this channel? If you want better handling and performance, you should go with the Acura MDX. That has a more powerful 3.5-liter V6 that produces 290 horsepower and 267 pound-feet of torque. That midsize SUV has a torque vectoring all-wheel drive system that makes it a lot of fun to drive on back roads. I much prefer the cleaner look of the Atlas's center console versus the MDX's dismal and outdated two-screen setup. The Acura may have better materials on the inside, but the Atlas wins in third row legroom and cargo space. If you prefer something with a better interior, you should consider the new Toyota Highlander. The materials inside are more upscale and it has a nicer looking infotainment system. The leather seats also feel a lot nicer, and I like the storage solutions and cubby holes found in the Highlander. But when it comes to cargo space and usable third row, the Atlas still wins by a good margin. If you're looking for a better value than the Atlas, you should look at the Hyundai Palisade. I reviewed a fully loaded version of the Palisade, which would be on par with the Atlas's SEL trim. And I found that the Palisade feeling like a much more expensive car. The feature per dollar found in the Palisade is quite impressive. But just like other midsize SUVs that I mentioned, the Atlas still wins in third row legroom and also cargo capacity. And just for fun, if you want to spend double the amount of money that you spent on the Atlas for a luxury midsize 3-row SUV, then you should look at the Volvo XC90 T8 Inscription. That has a 400 horsepower and 472 pound-feet of torque hybrid system that's also equipped with a supercharger and turbocharger. The interior is fantastic and it has a gear lever that's made out of crystal. So hopefully I've given you enough information so you can make a more educated buying decision. The midsize SUV market is crowded. There's a lot of options out there so that you, the consumers, have a really tough decision to make. I'll end it right there. Thank you so much for watching all the way till the end. If you learned something new, please consider hitting that like button, hitting the subscribe, and also hitting that notification bell so that you can be notified anytime we make a new video. This has been the 2021 Volkswagen Atlas SE with technology and 4Motion. My name is Hansen, and I will see you next time.